Welcome, everybody. So happy to be here. Happy to share with you all. I'm going to pass it back to Miss Jessica and Miss Natasha because they're the reason that we're here today. Because of their vision, their desire to make sure that you have what you need. And that we fill in those spaces for you so that you don't have to go searching for it. So I'm going to pass it back to them so they can say hi or whatever it is that they have in their heart to share, and then you can send it back to me, and we'll move from there.
Hi. I think I already said hi, but I'm really excited to see names. I can't see faces, but I can imagine them out there. And I know many of you, and I'm excited that you decided to join us. Um, I am Jessica Mott. I am the counselor with Grads to Careers. Welcome you to reach out if you have not been in touch with me or Kayla Carter and you would like to reach out for support or you have questions about who in your program can provide support. Um, we are here though because we have been hearing from young adults that there are a lot of connections and opportunities that we would like to have that have been even harder during COVID-19. And so we know this isn't the same as being in person, but we welcome you to our virtual space. And we're hoping that this is a place people can learn some new materials, feel connected to other young adults, and get some benefits at the end when you've completed the master class and you can get your stipend. So the goal was not to pay people for coming. The goal was we got a donation and we wanted to be able to use it so that people would not be in the position of having to choose, am I going to pick up an extra shift at work, but I'm really interested in this program. So we wanted people to be able to come explore something new and just give a stipend in recognition of your time. So I think that's all that I have to say. Except there'll be 5 more sessions. Miss Nia will be speaking further about that at the end. And so we invite you to sign up for additional sessions, to tell friends and people that you knew in your training cohorts if they're not here. And I think that's it. So welcome questions in the chat. Reach out individually in the chat if you need contact information, anything like that. But welcome.
And I'll just say welcome as well. Jessica said it all, and I want to be mindful of our time. We're just happy that we're in community with each other and that we're in this space together. Looking forward to our time, and I'll turn it back to Nia. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I always have to honor the people that brought you into the space. And so thank you all for the opportunity. So happy to be here. My name is Nia Jones, and I have the honest pleasure to be the Youth and College Division Director. That's what they're calling me. I just see myself as a servant in this work to make sure that young people between the ages of 5 and 25 have exactly what they need to live in a world that so often marginalizes us. And so I have the also have the pleasure of having my partner in crime, Miss Andrea Brown, who's present. She is the executive director of the Black Mental Health Alliance. And so, Andrea, you can introduce yourself, welcome our friends, and then we're going to get started.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I will be like Natasha and be mindful of our time because at the end of the day, this really is about you getting what you need and what you want. And so, super excited to be here. I have the privilege of serving as executive director for the Black Mental Health Alliance, where Nia really does boss us around, but you'll find out. Stay tuned. Um, but again, I think what an opportunity you have and what an opportunity we have. And so, super excited about starting and kicking off. I asked Nia, I said, can I come tonight? And she so politely said yes. And so I see some of our crew are on the line. So thank you for your support. So let me tell you what we're going to do. Nia has started screen sharing, and I have really hijacked this game, right? I don't know that it's a game. I don't know that it is, but I have hijacked it. And every time we are on a work call, every time we have an opportunity to connect as community, as a group, I ask people to do this. And so this is what we call the emotional and feeling wheel. And we are going to ask you to drop into the chat or unmute your mic. And if you can identify two emotions and or feelings, whether on the board or off, that you could just drop into the chat, just so that we want to do a check-in. We think that that's important, and we think it's more important for you to be able to voice it. And so I'm going to give us a couple of minutes while Nia still has the control. So if you would look at the wheel, and again, if I could be super transparent, the first time I saw the wheel, when I introduced it to when we talked about it as a team, I had some interesting. It was shortly after the insurrection, and I was looking for the word pissed, but it was not on there. So I'm not using the P word today, but so my point to you is feel free, whatever your word is, don't hesitate to drop it in the chat.
So it's your feeling or emotion from the last 24 hours or 48 hours?
We can do 24 or 48. So what do you think? 24?
Last 24 hours.
That's 24 is good. Ooh,
Got it enthusiastic,
beautiful.
hopeful.
Yes, I love that.
I'm looking for my word. We have overcome and hopeful again, peaceful and optimistic, blissful. Ooh. Content, reflective, inspiring. Any other words? Don't see it, but tired. I will balance that with a lot of love. Ditto. Same. Same. Excited. I think everyone went. And so, Andre, you want to share kind of like the reasons why and
No, actually, I don't want to share the reasons why. Um, but I'm happy that I know that you will.
Absolutely. So when Andrea does this exercise, it's always interesting to hear how people have felt over the last day. But those 6 things in the middle, fear, anger, sadness, surprise, joy, love, we are all hardwired to feel those 6 things, to have those 6 emotions and feelings right here in the middle. Everything else is kind of a bonus. That's a way to say it better. And so I use this often with my with clients and colleagues to really be able to check in to see how you've been feeling. And so I see somebody said inadequate, and so I hope by the end of this session that we're able to uplift you and fill your cup up a little bit, so that you feel a little bit better than when you started. But thank you for your honesty, for sure. This is a safe space. And so I want to share one other thing. And so as we start this process, cameras are not required, but we would love to see your face and love on you and just give you virtual hugs, by consent, of course. We just ask that you are present. Be present in this space. You have signed up, you have taken the time out of your busy schedule to be here with us. And so as we're having conversation, you don't have to talk back to me. I tell people all the time, I come from a long line of Baptist preachers. I love an amen corner. And so, but if you don't want to talk back to me, if I can't get an amen, just be present, and your presence is definitely is good enough. Also, this is a safe space. You are free to talk as you wish, but there are three things. I am a mandated reporter. And so if I hear in our conversation time in this session or in the 5 others that someone is hurting you, that you have a desire to hurt yourself, or that, you know, so, there's some kind of like sexual misconduct or things of that nature, we have to have a bigger discussion. I will not leave you. I will not go off and report something because I heard something. I will always check in with you. The therapist who will join us each week will always check in with you. And if it has to be reported, we will be right by your side during that process. I know so often of social workers and clinicians who make reports and just drop the client. That is not how I operate. If there is a need for a report, I am there with you. But please know that if you say something like, I feel like my life is not worth living, I'm going to check in with you. We are going to go into a breakout room and have a conversation. Again, love on you, hopefully fill your cup up. But if it's a need that we have to take it further, we will have to do so. But please don't be scared to share because of those 3 things. This is new. Please be patient with us and provide feedback. Today is session number 1, and we've already had a little bit of technical difficulty with emails and text messages not going through. And so we're working on it to make it better. And if you have an idea about how we can make it better, certainly provide feedback, and we will definitely make sure that is taken care of. And then payment, because we got to have our coins right? And so there is a $50 stipend attached to your experience today. As long as you are here for the duration of the session, within 2 business days, you will receive your payment. Kayla will be checking in with you all personally in this moment in the Zoom chat. She will send it to you directly. Make sure you respond to her only. I know sometimes you kind of quickly type and it doesn't always show up. Just respond directly to Kayla to either confirm your email address if you chose to get a gift card, or to confirm your phone number if you chose to use Zelle as your option. Because if that information isn't correct, your payment won't go through. And so we want to double, triple check that what we have on file is correct for you. And by the latest of Monday, you will have your dollars. Is there anything that any of you would like to add when we're talking about community agreements, how we're going to be in this space together? I was counting on the one person that would say, be respectful.
Nia, I just want to be sure we're all aware that this session is being recorded.
Yes, so the session is being recorded. What will happen is I am not going to include anybody's comments or questions that are said out loud, but it's just for the session so that folks who did sign up will have access to the content, not your personal questions, comments, or concerns. Thank you for lifting that. All right. If you come up with additional community agreements or ways for us to be together during this time, feel free to send me a message, drop it in the chat box. All of it is fair game. All right, so today we are talking about radical self-care. And I call it that because self-care is radical. So often in our lives, we see so much, whether it's marketing for a new shirt, a new bag, a new phone, a new device, but constantly buying. Capitalism at its core requires for you to purchase and to consume. And then so often that shows up in our self-care. We think, nails, hair, new outfit. But it's really, self-care is about turning away from those things in a very specific way, so that we can make sure that our mental health is good, is optimal. And so I want to start with a breathing exercise that says I can breathe on purpose, because we can, and because we have to. It is who we are. It is our connection to spirit, and the first place that most people start when we think about mindfulness. And so I want to start with a breathing exercise, and I will walk you through it. And then I'm going to read one of my favorite poems um, to center us all. So, if you could just kind of, wherever you are, make sure your feet are flat on the ground, your back is straight, um, and as little distraction as possible. I know that we're all at home. You might see my son walk in and he'll wave because that's how he is. Um, and so just feet on the ground, back straight, clear your mind. And we are going to lift our right arm over our heads and just inhale. Inhale. Right arm up and hold. And while we exhale, we're going to lean to the left side. So exhale. All right. And the palm of your hand to the back of your neck. Continue to breathe and look up. Nice little stretch. Make sure you're continuing to breathe. And arm back up. And arm down. All right, and we're going to do the other side. When we raise our arm, we're going to inhale and exhale to the side. We're going to inhale, palm of our hand to the back of our neck, and exhale, face up toward the ceiling. And inhale, arm back up. And exhale, arm back down to your side. And so then interlock your fingers just like this and put them right at your heart. And when we inhale, we're going to turn our palms up and stretch. And then when we exhale, we're going to bring our palms down back to center. Okay? So follow your own pace. You do not have to go fast or go slow like I am. Just inhale, stretch, and exhale. And inhale up and exhale. And inhale up and exhale down. Continue to do that. Inhale up and exhale down. Just close your eyes, center yourself. Close your eyes if you're able to do so, if you feel comfortable, and focus in on these words. My black is beautiful. From the color of my skin, to the texture of my hair, to the length of my strands, to the breadth of my smile, to the stride of my gait, to the span of my arms, to the depth of my bosom, to the curve of my hips, to the glow of my skin, my black is beautiful. It cannot be denied. It will not be contained, and only I will define it. For when I look in my mirror, my very soul cries out, my black is beautiful. And so today, I speak it out loud, unabashedly, I declare it anew, my black is beautiful. Whether celebrated, imitated, exploited, or denigrated, whether natural from inside or skillfully applied, my Black is beautiful. To my daughters, my sons, my sisters, my nieces, my cousins, my colleagues, and my friends, I speak for us all when I say again, my Black is beautiful. Bring both of your hands to your heart. Thank yourself for being in this space. Thank yourself for making time for yourself, and prepare for a lesson about yourself. Thank you for sharing that with me. Please continue to breathe. It is just as simple as stretching and breathing, inhaling and exhaling. And so whenever you feel overwhelmed, tired, inadequate, overworked, underpaid, breathe. Continue to breathe. And so, what are some of the reasons that we are stressed? Talking about self-care. See, I told you he'd show up. We're talking about self-care, and usually that starts with the need, that becomes a need when we are stressed. You can drop in the chat or you can unmute yourself. What are some of the reasons that we are stressed? All right, so somebody said no boundaries, work, time management. Working at school, work and school, looking at the screen all day for sure. Trying to keep up with everyday life and bills that society created. Oh, ain't that a word? Yes, this weather, yeah, that's enough to stress you out, especially if you're trying to get to work. Absolutely. All of those are definitely reasons why we are stressed out. And so, other things, racism, the pandemic, being Black. To be Black in America is to be constantly anxious. So we can't take it off. And so we go into a world that will quickly marginalize us because of the color of our skin. Somebody said, definitely whether I'm at work with my crazy tail self. You're trying to secure your bag. You don't have to apologize. So hello, my name is Busy. I am a recovering busyness addict. And I live and breathe work. My son will tell you when he's like, when he was 2, he used to answer the play phone at daycare and say, hello, yeah. And so I was like, where did he get that from? It was me. I was always answering the phone saying, hello, yeah, trying to multitask and do way too many things and never really giving a lot of attention to the things that were most important, such as myself. And so think about it. How would you describe the busyness in your life? For me, I remember feeling like the puppy in this picture. This is fine. I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. Everything was burning down around me, but I was still at the table trying to figure it out. So how would you describe the busyness that's currently occurring in your life? And you don't have to tell us all your business in the chat. But ask yourself, what feels overwhelming? Thank you, Destiny. I feel like it's demanding. Absolutely. Yes. That busyness wants every part of you, as much of it as it can take. And then I had to step back and some life things happen, lifed on me like it does for everybody, and ask myself, how did my life get this way? How did I get to the point that I was a puppy at a table with a cup of coffee and everything was on fire. And I was just like, this is okay. This is fine. Right? So ask yourself, how did it get this way? And it could be out of necessity, right? So there was one point where I had to work, I had to go to school, I had a little person, I had to, do certain things for my family. All of the things were required of me. But there were some points where I did overcompensate because I felt like, I've attained this level of popularity or power, and so I had to keep going. Overwhelming goals, absolutely. My goals were way too big. They were more like dreams, and I hadn't boiled them down into a place where I could actually put my hands around them. And so they were way too big. I was trying to do all the things, and that's how I got to that answer. And so my parents gave me a book called Crazy Busy because they saw that I was burning the candle at both ends, so to speak. I was always tired. I was doing way too much. And so that's what informed this presentation. So just think about it, and you'll have access to the slides afterwards. How would you describe the busyness of your life? What feels overwhelming about it? And how did we get this way? And so I sat back and I said, what would life be like without that? I was trying to walk down a road to really decide who I was and what I was called to do and what I needed to do. But there was a big rubber ducky or four standing in my way. Cute, lots of work. But I can't get around these rubber duckies. But what would life be like without it? I was like, it'd be a lot more calm. I'd be able to enjoy a vacation. I was always answering the phone on vacation, or I was always writing a paper at the last minute, right? 11:59, typing super fast. Yeah, peaceful. And so I decided that I wanted to have a life that didn't have rubber duckies in my way. And I wanted to build one that would be a lot more peaceful, but I could still do the things that I needed to do. And so that meant that I had to take care of me. I couldn't change school. I couldn't change work. I couldn't change my family. That was possible. A lot of people would. And so I had to work on me first. And so I found out that the busyness ruined my joy. I was never happy, just always busy, always working hard, like this cat on the screen, just working really hard, trying to get it done. And so never happy. It can rob our hearts. Our hearts keep us alive. It's the thing that gets everything going. And so literally and physically, it can rob your heart. People have heart attacks all the time because they are stressed out. And so there was no love, there was no joy. And it also, busyness covered up the real issue. I was overcompensating, as somebody said earlier, because I had gotten to a certain level of power, a certain level of status, and I had to keep going because if I didn't, maybe people were going to see that I was feeling inadequate or feeling less than on the inside. And so I always talk about this example of drive-through self-care versus spring cleaning. And so drive-through self-care is I go to McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, wherever. And I get something to eat and I keep driving. And I'm stuffing French fries in my mouth and trying to dip a chicken nugget while putting the car in reverse and cussing out the person in the car next to me because I got somewhere to be and I'm still trying to eat and you're in my way, right? And so did I eat? Yes. Was I full? Sometimes, because I don't know how many French fries I've dropped in the decade, or in the 2 decades that I've been driving. And so, yes, I ate, but yes, I was kind of full, but I didn't really take care of myself. The food probably was greasy. It was really quick. I was hungry in 2 hours. Anybody that eats McDonald's knows, once you pass the age of 12, it doesn't work the same anymore. And so that was drive through self-care. That's the getting your nails done, getting your hair done, having a quick conversation with a friend. Spring cleaning self-care, or restaurant self-care, as I've since renamed it, is when you go to TGI Fridays or Ruth's Chris or wherever you like to go pre-COVID, and maybe some people are still dining out during COVID, hopefully safely. You sit at the table and there's a waiter who waits on you. He brings you your water with your lemons. He brings you your Pepsi. He brings you your half and half. If you're over 21, he might bring you your drink, right? He also brings you your food. He or she, they wait on you hand and foot. What is it that you need? Oh, I dropped my fork. You need a new fork, right? That's the kind of self-care we're talking about today. Radical self-care is deeper. It's more like a restaurant experience. Never letting your cup get empty, always filling it back up. Okay? So what? I hear you, Miss Nia, Miss Jones, however you want to call me. I hear you, lady. You're talking about self-care. But so what? I had a 9th grade English teacher, Miss Rocca, God rest her soul, would always write on the top of papers, so what? Why do I care? If you didn't get to the point. And so that always stuck with me, because these 3 things must happen. And this is kind of like our objectives. So hopefully by the end of this presentation, you'll be able to understand exactly how to participate in self-care. I must set priorities because I can't do it all. I saw somebody earlier tell me that my goals were way too large, and they were. I must set priorities if I am to serve others most effectively. If I'm going to be present in this presentation or with a client on a daily basis, I have to set those top priorities so that I can make sure I get those things done. And the other things may just have to wait. It's only a few hours in the day. And I must allow others to set their own priorities. And so often we work so hard, especially in like nonprofits and the hospital industry, taking care of everybody else. And we forget about ourselves. But we also try to do things for other people, right? That they may not even be interested in yet. And so I always tell people, you can't want it more for someone else than they want it for themselves. And so that can also get in the way of your self-care. Someone sent me a message and they asked me if it was a challenge to find myself and who I am. It is a daily process. And so have I completely figured out who I am? Nope. But to the point to that where I've gotten right now, it was some work. It took some work and some money with a therapist to really figure out myself, what I needed for my life, and cost me some tears and some time, but really I was able to build the life that I needed for me, and by extension, my family. If I'm better, my family can be better. And so it was a bit of a challenge, but it's worth it, right? Somebody said, show me what you spend your money on and I'll show you what you care about. And I decided to spend more money on me. And not like the superficial stuff, but the stuff that would help me to be better. So self-care is an act of resistance, but what is it? Self-care is active participation in enhancing the quality of your health. And it includes intentional action. My name is Nia. It means intention. So I'm all about this. An intentional action to take care of your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. And you, in turn, create a strategy for protecting yourself from all of the stresses of life. Life will life on you. Woo. From stress and trauma in your life. So that might also include world events, right? When we saw the insurrection on the stairs of the Capitol, that was stressful and traumatizing for a variety of reasons. And so self-care, in terms of self-care, I had to stop. Like I had to turn off Twitter and the TV because it was way too much. And so let's learn a little bit about our baseline. And so for anybody who's unfamiliar with that term, when we talk about data, it's where we start. So no judgment here. I just want to see in the chat box kind of where we're all beginning. And so this first set of questions is 5 of like 15 around your physical self-care. And so just give yourself an overall rating. I eat healthy foods. I take care of my personal hygiene. I exercise. I wear clothes that make me feel good about myself. I rest when I am sick. What would you give yourself for an overall rating around your physical health if you had to consider just these 5 things? And you can drop it in the chat. 1 equals rarely or not at all. No judgment. 0 for me. I just told y'all I'm a recovering busyness addict. Number 2, sometimes I do these things. And 3, Nia, I got this on lock. I do it all the time. You late to the party. Okay, I see a couple 2s. And if you don't want to send it to everyone, you can definitely direct message me. I will not say who said what. Okay, I see some 2s and some 3s. Okay, that's good. So we're starting with a really great baseline. Good to see somebody gave themselves a 0. Okay, that's why we're here today, because we got to get you some self-care techniques. We got some 3s. Good stuff. Good stuff. In later sessions, we will be talking about healthy food options. We'll also be discussing taking care of your body. But resting when you are sick, resting in general is so important. So important. I can feel the difference. I even look different when I'm rested. I took like a week and a half at the end of 2020, and Andrea looked at me and said, "You look different." And she said, "You look amazing. What did you do?" And I said, "I rested." Rest is so important. If you don't do any of the other things, get your sleep. Somebody says sometimes 2, sometimes 3. All right, let's see here. Let's go to the next one. This one is about your emotional self-care. So participating in hobbies, turning off distractions, learning new things, expressing your feelings in a healthy way, kind of like that wheel that we just saw. Recognizing your strengths and achievements. 1, rarely or not at all. 2, sometimes. 3, often. Andrea said, "I thought she got a facial." I got a 2 so far. Participating in hobbies, turning off distractions, learning new things, expressing your feelings in a healthy way. So when you're upset, not punching a hole in the drywall, or cussing out whoever the person is. Although sometimes a good cuss. Never mind. So we got some 2s, some 1.5s. Okay. 2s, mostly 2s. Okay. Yeah, our anger can definitely get the best of us, for sure. And we can, and hopefully in future sessions, really unpack anger management in a real way. All right, so some 1s and some 2s. So we have to really work on that emotional self-care. Again, you're the only person who can regulate you. And a lot of times I find that if we have the words to say it, it's a little easier. So that's what I love about that emotional wheel that we showed earlier that you'll have access to. Sometimes you just got to look at the wheel and say, all right, I feel angry, but that's not saying it enough. You know, maybe I feel enraged, and then asking yourself why. Okay, let's go to the next one. This one is about your social self-care. which for some of us, it's a little difficult to do right now in the pandemic. But I spend time with people I like. That's a big one. A lot of us have circles with folks in it that we don't really care for. We just kind of keep them around. That's draining on your self-care. I call or write to friends and family. It's a nice little, a note. Maybe you send a card or you send a text or email or DM. I have good conversation. Sometimes just a really great conversation and a cup of coffee, or a really great conversation and putting your feet up on the couch can just fill up your social self-care cup. I ask others for help. That's a biggie, especially for my Black women out there. We don't always find it easy to ask others for help, and we'll quickly say, I can do it myself. I figured it out myself. I participate in enjoyable activities, things that you like to do. All right, we got a one, couple of threes, good stuff. We have a 2. All right. As Lynn said, it's easier to do myself. See what I'm saying? And I got a 1, got another 2. Yeah. Sometimes you have to ask for help, and you can just, you trust that the person that you're asking for help is going to really be able to help you. And sometimes you just got to let go. Because guess what? My therapist told me that I was holding on to a rope. She said, I want you to think about holding on to a rope. And I'm trying to help you, and I'm by pulling the rope because we got to do something with it. She said, what happens to your hands? I said, they would bleed. They would bleed. They would be on fire. I wouldn't be able to do anything else. And so sometimes that self-care is just about releasing, and let the person either prove to you that they can't or that they can't, that they can or that they can't. And shout out to the men who have often been taught to hold it in. Absolutely. Absolutely. So often the guys can't cry because they were told at 5, you're a big boy now, what you crying about? Okay. Spiritual self-care. I spend time in nature. I pray or meditate. I recognize things that give meaning to my life. I appreciate art. I volunteer. 1, 2, or 3. Volunteering is definitely a biggie, and a lot of people don't really recognize it as self-care because it sometimes feels like work. But really taking some time to give back, whether that is at a soup kitchen or, you read stories to children, or you donate it to a cause that you care about. All of those things build up your spirit. Praying and being in constant communication with your higher power. I call him God. Spending time in nature is a big one, even in urban environments. So I have 0 grass around my house on purpose. I don't cut grass. My husband has terrible allergies. It's not a good idea. And so we just moved in a place where it did not have grass. And so sometimes I'll either walk to a park. Everybody in Baltimore is within at least a 10-minute walk to a park. That is facts. That is data. But if you can't get there, the clouds are everywhere. Clouds are everywhere. And so sometimes you just have to look up. And that's interesting because we'll talk about that a little bit later, some more. All right, I got some 1s, some 2s, some 3s. Okay, a little kind of spread out on this one. And last one is about your professional self-care. I think today counts as professional self-care a little bit. And so improving upon your professional skills, whether that is, finding a mentor at work, or taking any career related trainings that you can find, going on YouTube. YouTube has everything. I say no to excessive new responsibility. Whoa, that might be too much. Let me think about all the things I have going on. I balance my personal and professional life. It's a little hard for some of us that work from home right now because work is also at home. But even in that, I found balance by like shutting the door to where my computer is. If you have the ability to do that, trying to take those breaks, taking breaks. Don't work through your lunch break. That does not make you a hero. It makes you hungry. Take a break, even if you have to go to sleep. To go to sleep, you sit there and you eat some Skittles. I don't know. Take the break. I learned new things related to my career. Okay. So most of you are kind of down the middle with this one, about sometimes a few ones and a few threes. All right. So remember your numbers if you can. It's not, we won't be quizzed about it later, I promise. But thank you for indulging in that activity. I just wanted to see where we were in terms of self-care. Okay. So baseline. Now what? What's the so what? I asked you to go through all of that with me. What do we do? So, about 3 years ago, I read this book called One Word That Will Change Your Life. And you all will receive a copy of this book in the mail from Amazon. So please make sure, I hope you gave us the right mailing address. This book will be coming to you in the mail. It's a really quick read, about 80 pages or so. Yep, 81 pages, and that includes the intro and the bios of the writers. But in this book, it tells you how to stop creating New Year's resolutions and choose a word for your life for the year. So often we, yes, Destiny, I love a good read too. So often we create what? New Year's resolutions. Yes, I like that. Daria said for real. Somebody said Shania? I think that I said that right. Please forgive me if I didn't. She said, all I do is read. Yes. So we have lots of good recommendations. Yes, we do. My cousin gave me this book. And this was right around the time where I was recovering from all of my busyness. And I am not using the word recovery lightly. Like busyness was my drug. And he brought it to our entire family and said, read this book and we're going to come back together with our one word. And I was like, one word? What are you talking about? And read the book and it absolutely did that. It changed my life. And so my first word was fearless. But I'll tell you how I arrived to there. So there are 3 steps in this process. And this is how you will be able to start and participate in your radical self-care. So I'm giving you stuff that you can go home and use tonight. And then you'll definitely have the book, hopefully by the end of the week. So look within, look up, and look out are the 3 steps. So let's rock and roll. So look within. Yeah, read Hood Feminism. That will change your life after you read one word. So when we look within, there are 2 steps. We unplug, and then we ask ourselves these questions. What do I need? What's in my way? What needs to go, and why? I want you all to watch this clip in your spare time when you get the slides. It's a really amazing meditation for clearing your thoughts, created by a Black woman in Charlotte, North Carolina. But it's really about unplugging. So I said earlier that when the insurrection happened, I had to stop. And after that, I realized that I was, again, spending way too much time on Twitter arguing with people about racism and structural inequality and therapy and how it needs to look for Black people. For what? Was it fun? Yes. But it took a lot of time to be continually plugged in. And so a lot of times when we look within and when we search within, we have to stop the noise. We have to quiet the noise first. And then ask yourself, what do I need? If I want to be a better me, if I want to be better today than I was yesterday, what do I need in order to do that? Do I need to show myself more love? Do I need to speak up more? Do I need to write more? Or start writing or start reading? What do I need? Just you, not anybody else. It's all about you. What's in my way? And that's when the unplugging comes into play. That's when also we kind of think about our careers and where we are. And so I'm not telling anybody by any stretch of the imagination to quit your job. Do not do that. Everybody needs to secure their bag. I have a job and other stuff that I do because everybody needs a dependable paycheck. I'm just saying that stuff is expensive. So sometimes though, it can be the location and maybe you want a fresh start, or sometimes it can be that right now I want to continue my education and perhaps I can, dial back my hours a little bit. But look within. Don't just make a quick decision. Look within and consider what's in my way. Is my girlfriend, boyfriend, situationship, partnership in my way? Is Instagram in my way? Sometimes it's our own parents and family members that might be in the way. And you might have to set a boundary for how you're interacting with them to be able to look within and clear your space. What needs to go? The first thing that happens when I'm working with clients one-on-one, when we start to have a breakthrough and they turn their camera on, they're like, look at my space. I cleaned up. And I usually say, well, what made you do that? I just felt better. I'm like, that's awesome. So what did you do first? And they say, I threw away a bunch of trash. Nia, I don't even know why I had that. It just had to go. Okay. So what needs to go? What do you need to bag up and throw out? And then ask yourself why. How did that get here? Was it the result of some things that happened to me, which we can't control? Or was it some things that I walked into willingly? But why? Why and how did I get to this place where I need to ask myself these questions? And then you go to the next step. Feel free to journal your answers to these questions. I have a client who video journals. So she turns on her camera on her phone and essentially talks to herself. But as a way of, she's like, I didn't want to write. I wanted to hear myself say the things that I had to answer for me, because I give homework. Someone just sent me a message about if you start to have a breakthrough or you have one and then have a setback, that's the human experience. So when we talk about making a change, it's kind of like you ever seen those twisty slides at the playground that kids ride? So they come down and then they go like this really fast and usually come flying out the slide. Change is just like that. Change is it's a spiral. It is not a straight line. And so sometimes you'll find yourself having movement down the slide and you might get stuck. You might, move backwards a little bit. But the key is to continue to do the work and remember how you felt when you had that breakthrough. And then you come down the slide. But life is made of those slides. So it's great to have those moments when you have that breakthrough and you might end up back on another slide because there's something else that you're trying to change. So it's a constant state of becoming in our lives and making those changes and having those breakthroughs. Yep, a setback is a setup for a comeback. Preach. Look up. So when you think about your word, we want you to get a spirit word, not just a good word. And so I was having some significant challenges with anxiety at the same time that I was recovering from busyness. And so as I continued to think about it, fearless is the thing that came up. Now, was that comfortable? No, because I live scared of a lot of things. That is anxiety. I'm just a little scary a lot of times. And I will make up something in a minute. And so that word had me to look up. I had to look up to my creator. Again, I call him God, whomever you serve. And if you serve nobody, just look up. Like, I need some help. Call on somebody. I need some help. I need a spirit word. I need a word that's going to work for my spirit, for my inner being, for my soul. It's going to make me feel better. And then listen, because the answer will come. You'll hear, and what happened to me is I heard fearless and I was like, that's not it. No, nope, definitely not it. And I swear I saw 3 billboards about fearlessness that day. I was like, okay, I hear you. I see it. That's fine. We'll go with it. Right? So look up. You want a word that is going to speak to your spirit and to your heart. That's not just a good word. And you want to make sure you listen to the answer that you receive. So meditation, because punching people in the face is not allowed. That's what my gift says. Look within. Okay? And then look out in both ways that those words sound like. So you want to see the opportunities all around you, right? So if my word is fearless, when my word was fearless, I just started going after things. I really lived my word. So it's one thing to know it, to define it, to have done all that work when you looked within. It's another level to say, all right, look out world, here I come. Fearless is my word. I got to do it. See the opportunities all around you, and your life will change in unexpected ways because it's a stretching if you are actually living it. Any questions, comments, concerns? So look in, look up, and then look out world. Here we come. What happened to my slide? Okay. And so accountability is key. You probably heard about like accountability partners, or I have this set of friends that will tell me like it is. They're going to call you on your stuff. And so the first part is to be that for yourself. Keep your word front and center. And so everybody in this on the call today, if you send me your word, I will send you something with your word on it. When you find it, no rush, but keep it front and center. So I had some people used to put it on their refrigerators. Some people would put it as a screensaver. Some people would wear it as a bracelet. However you need to keep it front and center, do that. And so what are some things that you can do to make sure that you have reminders for your word? You can drop it in the chat. You can unmute. Yeah, somebody sent me a message. It's okay not to be okay. Absolutely. And that's our April session title. Yeah. Experience, somebody said, experience is the name we simply give our mistakes. So it taught you something. I like that. Everything happens for a reason. Yeah. Put it on a vision board or make it your screensaver for sure. Yep. accountability in bold on my screensaver. Yep, that's the thing where most of us look at most of the time. And then you want to draft your stretch team. So think of it like NBA draft, NFL draft, all of those drafts. Who are the 2 to 3 people that can help you stretch, make you better? Again, they're not signing off on your BS. You told them, I want to do this thing within the next 4 years. They're going to make sure you get there. Sometimes it might be a former professor, a former teacher, your mom, anybody, your therapist, your life coach. All those people can be on your stretch team. Best friend. Yep. Yep. Grandma. Yeah, she can tell you like it is. At least mine would. And if you don't have more than one, could you create a round table, or a different way of looking at your stretch team? So I've had clients who had zero support system. And so when that would come up in session, I would say, I'm back. Sorry about that. When that would come up in session, I would tell them or ask them, so who are the people that you look to maybe on TV or in sports, or, you know, a really great writer who you're like, I follow them, I understand kind of how they think, even if it's not, you know, authentically them, because a lot of people show one way on social media and another way in real life. But that person that you see, so the LeBron Jameses of the world, and I think I was working with somebody around fatherhood, so he chose LeBron James and Kevin Hart before he made that ridiculous statement about his daughter. He chose Will Smith. That was his roundtable. He did not have a support system physically, but he was able to look to individuals in media and in books and on TV to say, what would that person say maybe if I went to them with this question, or with this idea, or with this thing that I want to be stretched about? And he would, in his mind, kind of go to this round table of folks to keep himself accountable. And it worked. I didn't think it was going to. I just full transparency, I didn't know if it was going to work. I was trying it, and it worked for him. And he was like, I talked to my round table, and they were able to help me to get through. So that is that. So look within, look up, and look out. That is how we begin radical self-care, because it is completely about you and what you need in order to make the changes in your life that you want to see. And then all of the other stuff, that baseline stuff, we talked about your physical health, your emotional health, your spiritual health, all of that falls in line with your life word. Because anything that you're taking into your spirit should not shackle you. It should liberate you. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns, those are my references for the presentation, because I'm smart, but I didn't write those books that I used. And got to give credit to folks. Any questions? I hope this was helpful for us to understand self-care and how to get started. I think we throw around self-care a lot in our country, and we quickly go to manis and petties, nails, toes, combos, but less about us. You're welcome, Destiny. It's because you all are worth it. I'm just saying. Any questions, comments? It's quiet, but I know y'all are there because you've been in the chat box. And so you were definitely present. So you will get a copy of the, thank you. You'll get a copy of the slides. I want you all to definitely try to do those 3 things and watch the YouTube clip on the slides. The links are clickable. Next month, we will be meeting March 18th. Registration will open up March 1st. So you'll have a few weeks to gather your folks, tell somebody to come, as long as they were completed the Grads to Careers program. They are definitely welcome. And our topic next month, I believe, is coins. So we got to secure the bag, right? But we got to do it the right way. So I have 2 bank representatives that will be joining us from Harbor Bank, which is one of the country's Black-owned banks, and from Fulton Bank, which recently moved to this area and has been expanding. And so they'll be telling you about savings and checking and IRAs and all that good stuff that no one ever told me about until it was kind of too late. The how to use a credit card appropriately. We'll also have someone here to talk about taxes. That's a big one. I used to work in HR and people would be like, do I pick 1 or 0? I don't know. I just pick. And so being able to tell you exactly what you need in order to make sure that you can secure the bag in all ways. Any questions about that?
Can I just ask before people hop off, and thank you, Nia. That was awesome. Shanye and let me see who else I need. Darrell, if y'all could just direct message me. I just need to confirm info for payment.
All right. And so we give you the gift of time. It is 6:20. But if there are no questions, I'll stay right here until 6:30 if anybody has any questions or needs anything. But it was a pleasure to be with you. I won't be teaching next time, but I will be here. And there will be another therapist who we will introduce to you all, because I am a therapist first, and mental health is my first love. And so I want you all to meet and hear from other therapists of color in this space. So that person will be joining us. The link for the YouTube video and the books, everything is in the slides. And so you'll get that within the next 24 business hours. And then, that's a good question. So somebody just asked if we'll talk about generational wealth. I think we should definitely talk about it next month. And so I will make sure that we get that in there for you. That's a good one. Any other topics you want to hear about? Just so you know, so next month is coins, securing the bag, financial health and wealth. April, we're talking about it's okay to not be okay. Then we will be talking about nutrition. It's called Good Eats, and we will have someone on the call who will show you how to cook and prepare some fresh fruits, vegetables, and you'll also get those things. And then we also have a session around networking and communication. And I feel like I'm missing one. I'm doing this from memory. Jessica,
Did you say the creative? I was distracted. Multitasking, the creative and entrepreneurial spirit. Did you say that one?
Yes, that's the one I forgot. So we'll be talking about nurturing your creative and entrepreneurial self. So again, we keep our jobs, and that doesn't stop us from being entrepreneurs until we're at a place where we're able to do that. And so teaching you how to get started the right way. We don't so often in our communities, out of survival, we run and create and do the entrepreneurial things, and we don't have the right stuff going on in the background. And so I want to make sure that you all know how to file for an LLC, how to have the right bank accounts, what it looks like in terms of hiring people and hearing from some folks that are doing it. So masterclass, that's what it's about. Me too. Looking forward to it too. I'm excited that you are. All right. Well, it's 6:23. Thank you all so much. You'll also receive the recording. So if you want to hear me say all this again, I will send it your way. And we will see you next month. We love you all.